You can feel the madness.
And Purdue steamrolls their way to the Elite Eight.
This march to remember continues for NC State. Who could have imagined the Wolfpack in the Elite Eight?
And it is going to be the Clemson Tigers out of the ACC headed to the Elite Eight.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to After Dark on the D1 and Done pod, currently presented by our good friend Jack Carney and Sid's Bar and Grill. You can follow us everywhere on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We also have our YouTube page and our SpeakPipe up and running. Make sure you go to speakpipe.com/D1 and Done pod. You can leave a voice message on there that you could have played on the show here on the D1 and Done pod. Robbie Donahoe right here, riding solo with Dusty Mills and Nick Mills, tapped in remotely. Fellas, we have our Elite Eight all set, and an Elite Eight that I don't think any of us were really anticipating. I mean, we thought we would get most of the one seeds through. We only get two, and then we've got some massive upsets and big number seeds to talk about going forward. But initially, Nick, I'll start with you. Kind of your just initial impressions on our Elite Eight that we have starting coming up on Saturday.
Can you hear that?
What was that?
That was a seltzer cracking, sir. Because I, as a Kentucky fan, for people first time listening, this is I'm very sad right now. Duke Tennessee Final Four is on the table all of a sudden.
What?
So that and
by the way, kids, please drink responsibly.
Please
do.
As someone who doesn't all the time, it sucks. So please drink responsibly.
Yes.
It is after dark right now, so God bless me right now. But yeah, Rob, I guess to answer your question, as much as I want to complain about my own problems, I think the real, story is, as much as I rag on this conference and against a single elimination tournament, but there's 3 ACC tournaments or 3 ACC teams left in Elite Eight right now.
That's right.
Which is hilarious at this point.
And 2 of them will be playing each other coming up on Sunday, and it just so happens that they happen to be in the same state, which is even crazier that we've gotten to this point. But we will talk about the matchups here in just a moment. Dusty, your initial thoughts on the Elite Eight that we got. I know you were probably very happy seeing Alabama make that rally and win over North Carolina, but we had these Thursday-Friday games were all really, really good games.
So I'm going to actually say something very personal real quick, but there's a reason for it, because I feel like we should celebrate life and not be sad when a life ends. My uncle actually passed away last night, and he's a die-hard Alabama sports fan.
Oh.
Jokingly said today that he just decided he didn't want to see the succession plan of Saban, so he just moved on. But I want this team to win the title so much just for him now. Well, if we get an Alabama-Purdue final, because we're talking about this as a family. I'm actually in Florida right now, so that's why I'm remote. I'm with a bunch of IU fans, and they are cheering their asses off for Purdue. Sorry.
Really? No, you're
yeah.
Wow.
I just think it's cool. And I texted Robbie today when I was flying to Florida this afternoon. It was so cool to be at the Indianapolis airport and see so much Purdue gear. Just everyone's wearing Purdue stuff.
Yeah.
And I've never seen that. I was like, oh my gosh, this is just such a cool culture that they have built. So those are my 2 teams right now. I want to see Bama, I want to see Purdue, and I want to see Unreal Finals. So back to the original statement. Sorry to get sentimental. The NC State thing is amazing.
Yeah.
How are they so bad to start the year?
I don't know. And
so
let's start with NC State, because I think they're the story right now. And so people forget, remember, they're a banked-in 3 against Virginia in the ACC tournament away from not being here.
Well, not even that. So I suppose Clips say, again, me and Dusty were nationals for this whole thing. So Virginia played NC State in the quarterfinals, semifinals, the ACC tournament?
Quarterfinals, yes.
So whatever it is, evidently there's a technical foul in NC State, whatever. So Virginia is up 5 points with a minute to go, shooting 2 technical foul shots.
Yep.
Up 5 points and lose they missed both tech shots and lose the game. So think about that.
That's so Virginia, by the way, that would happen.
Oh, it is. That's absolutely.
Which is great point, Robbie. It's probably more about Virginia than anything.
Absolutely.
Think about that. Like,
Well, that's
I don't know what the we want to talk about the win probability was. It had to be below 1% at that point.
Yeah.
Down 5 points with the other team shooting tech shots with a minute to go.
Nick,
You not win basketball games.
you know why that's Virginia? Because they're sitting there saying, "There's no way a team can score 6 points in 1 minute."
Yeah, no one can do that. That's not physically possible.
Possible.
They're punting. They're like Iowa in 35 punting. They're like, they're not going to score. Why do we care?
What does it matter? So NC State getting the win over Marquette, 67-58. And we were giving Shaka his flowers earlier this week, and then Marquette comes in and just...
Especially you guys.
I should not have. I was like, hey, they finally made a Sweet 16. This is cool. And then
No,
four
that was a joke.
4 for 31 from 3. 4 for 31 for Marquette.
That was a joke. Out the one ringing high for Marquette because I love Tyler Kolek. I am so sad this is how it did. But you're right. The story is NC State. Like, again, Marquette's 4-31 from 3. You made a comment in our group chat. They looked tight the whole from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
But NC State, I mean, they've won 9 games in what? 20 days at this point?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Their story in... I mean, why? I mean, Duke's gonna be his favorite, but like, why would you bet against them at this point?
I wouldn't.
Go
ahead, Dusty. Yeah.
I want to see DJ Burns give a flip Stone Cold Stunner.
Oh. I would imagine that DJ Burns is probably going to guard Ryan Young if I had to guess.
Yeah.
And then you will probably see Muhammad Diarra guarding old Flip, which I will say that's a fascinating matchup because I think Diarra can hang with Kyle Filipowski because he's got that mobility to play inside. Now, but before we jump into talking more about NC State, so DJ Horn had a great game, 19 points. After the game, he talked with Tracy Wolfson of CBS Sports, and I wanted to play that soundbite that he had with Tracy talking about the fact that, it's just it is incredible that this team has made this run and they've gotten to this point, but my goodness, like amazing that they are here at this moment and they're on the verge of making a Final Four, which just makes it even more incredible.
8 wins in 8 games. How do you describe this run that you guys are on right now?
It's magical, but I'm going to say that we knew this from day one, man. We knew we were a good team. It was all a matter of just locking in and understanding our roles, and, no better time to be doing that than now.
So he called the run magical, I don't think there's any better way to put it. This is a magical run from NC State. 8 wins in 8 games. I don't know if you remember this. They were trailing Louisville at the half in the ACC tournament. They were losing to Louisville, and now they're on the verge of making their first Final Four in, I believe, 40 years. So, I mean, it's absolutely remarkable what they're doing. And you watch this team play, and Dusty, I think you said it, like, how is this team so bad? Like, they have all the right pieces to be a really good basketball team, and they're playing like it right now.
So, I'll admit real quick as a big college basketball fan that I was not as educated on NC State as I wish I could say I was. But apparently they changed the game plan to making Burns essentially the power or the point forward. Mm-hmm. And I was watching today when I was
he had 7 assists in the game tonight. 7.
Yeah. He sees the floor so well. And he had a move in the game tonight too where he did almost like a Dr. J up and under against 2 people. They just unleashed this guy. It is so fun to watch them. They beat the hell out of Duke, but we'll see.
Speaking of, so the NC State will play Duke in the Elite 8 with a spot in the Final Four on the line. Duke coming off a win over Houston. They played a rock fight, 54-51. If you didn't watch the game. Jamal Shead.
Robbie, to cut it off real quick, you mentioned NC State's story of the night, the first 2 nights. That might be true. I think Jamal Shead getting hurt pretty early on might be story of the weekend so far.
Yeah, I think so too. I think with Jamal Shead, I think Houston wins. Without him, that just severely limited their ability offensively because all you really had was Emmanuel Sharp and L.J. Cryer and three other really good athletic guys. So Jamal Shead went down to a pretty severely sprained ankle towards the end of the first half, did not return, came back out in the second half basically riding a scooter, and then they taped up his ankle pretty significantly, said he was questionable to return. He never did. He sat on the bench the whole time. We were hoping that he'd kind of come out with some Willis Reed moment and kind of make a play at it, but it just wasn't going to happen.
They did come back and say x-rays were negative, so he didn't break anything, but that's almost worse at times if it's a ligament issue.
Right, yeah.
Even my aunt even said tonight, she was asking what happened because I was explaining how Houston's best player was injured. And I was like, when they had that, 10.2, whatever it was, and they were down 3, I was like, just wrap and put him in right now.
Yeah.
Just get him open.
Yeah, get him open, let him shoot a shot. And if not, then you play 4-on-4 at that point. Yeah. You had to do something. Houston was 9 for 17 from the free throw line. That's not going to cut it. It did not work out for the Cougars, unfortunately. So we get Duke NC State for a third time this year. They split the season series. Duke won in the regular season in Raleigh 79-64, and then the Wolfpack beat Duke in the ACC tournament 74-69. A couple things I want to throw at you here about Duke. If you're thinking about, hey, maybe this is a national championship run, it goes against all the data. Remember, we've never had a coach under 5 years of experience at his current school win a national championship. I think it's only happened once in 30 years. And then also, no school has ever won the national championship after losing their first conference tournament game. And that's exactly what happened to Duke. So if you're thinking about maybe trying to put a future on Duke, I would pump the brakes a little bit. And I would also even throw in the fact that I was not supremely impressed by Duke at all. And, I mean, they played a rock fight. They kind of had to. That's kind of what they had to do to beat Houston. But I as well as they played against James Madison in Vermont, I did not think they looked very good against Houston tonight. And they were very fortunate Jamal Shead got hurt.
I want to make one point, and then, Nick, I'll let you talk about Duke. And, again, this just comes from my, I was going to say alma mater. It's not. The team I played for losing a 14 seed, but it's the most Duke thing ever in a year where they truly are. They've never impressed me all year.
No.
At all. To be a 13 seed, then a 12 seed, then a best player injured for a 1 seed, who I still think he's the best team in the country. And now you get an 11 seed that in the Elite Eight. It's the most Duke thing ever. Yeah. Nick, I'll let you go from there.
Well, first of all, I guess I have to rag on Jamal Shead. I mean, Contavious Caldwell-Pope played with an ankle bracelet on for a month, yet Jamal Shead can play in a Sweet 16 game, but I digress. But if you know, you know. But, yeah, Crab, I mean, as you mentioned about Duke, it's kind of what the story of March Madness is, right? Because I have it written down right here, they play Vermont, 12 seed James Madison, and Houston with, 1/3 of the game of Jamal Shead.
Yeah.
He left that, 6 minutes ago?
It was somewhere around that time, yeah.
And I mean, again, I hate Duke. There's no bones about it. But again, you won the games in front of you. But I mean, I think this Duke team, I cannot believe an Elite Eight. I mean, they got swept by North Carolina. They were never remember we did our podcast this whole year. We talked about the best teams, right? We always mentioned Purdue.
We never talked about them.
No, we talked about them. Mm-mm. And I don't think it was for bad reason.
That wasn't shade on Duke. It just they have yet. I probably watched 15 of their games this year. They have yet to impress. They're always in that 12 to 16th best team range, right? They never got above it. They never got below it. And this is the Duke magic. The devil magic. I cannot believe it. Coach K's gone. He's dead. He's not dead. He's dead in my eyes. And Tennessee's below them. And now they get 11 seed NC State. There's a chance they play 11, 12, 13, and 1 seed. And the 1 seed doesn't have their star player for 2/3 of the game, and that's their Final Four run. It's just, I don't get it. I have a question for you.
I have no commentary. I'm just pissed. I don't know what you want from me, Robbie. That's all I got to say.
Here,
I basically said nothing. I'm just mad. Okay?
Before Dusty goes, I want to say there's no possible way that the good Lord above will allow the Blue Devils to win on Easter Sunday. It will not happen. It cannot happen. I know this was Good Friday, but no possible
by the
way.
way,
No.
By the way, my friend Grant Bullard, I don't think he listens to the show, but he's a very religious person. He saw my tweets about the Blue Devils winning on Good Friday. He made a good point. He says, well, the devil kind of won on Good Friday.
That's
and
true.
then Jesus won on Easter.
And they took L on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I love that reason.
So yeah, maybe this is the path. DJ Burns is our savior on Easter.
Dusty, go ahead.
Well, I just want to talk about. I want to talk about the other three matchups more than anything. But
Yeah,
my one question is going to be: so you just lost to NC State 2 weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does Duke want to play them, or do they kind of want to see Marquette?
I probably would have if I was Duke. I'd rather see Marquette. I don't.
I
disagree. I would not want to see. I don't want to see NC State. I don't. I mean, it depends. It depends. Facing other team in your same conference, it depends on how you played them this year. But with how NC State is playing, and again, I think the Wolfpack match up really well with NC State or with Duke. I thought Duke matched up pretty better with Marquette than they do NC State, but that may just be me. I don't know.
Can I say that I would say I would rather play NC State if I was Duke, but we're college basketball guys. We have history, but like I think 11 seeds they might be like undefeated in Elite Eight, right? Because think about VCU, LSU, George Mason, and Loyola.
Don't forget about UCLA.
Wasn't Missouri 11 seed today in like the 90s?
I don't think they're 11 seed though. They made like a 12 seed. I'm thinking 12
seed.
Yeah, Missouri was a 12 seed.
Losing Elite Eight. Not the more I think about it.
You don't want to play 11 seeds in the Elite Eight, I guess. So there you go.
I have to look this up. Can you think of one 11 seed losing Elite Eight? Because I remember Florida in 2014 crowd. They beat Dayton, but I think they're a 10 seed.
Dayton was and I remember Syracuse was a 10 when they beat Virginia in the Elite Eight.
Good call.
So yeah, let R&D get on that and get back with us. So let's move on. Let's talk about the games tonight in Detroit because obviously I gotta shout out my fellas from Purdue, Boilermakers with a big second half beating Gonzaga 80-68. They will take on the Tennessee Volunteers. Speaking of teams that lose their first conference tournament game, Tennessee lost their first SEC tourney game to Mississippi State, and Tennessee has never advanced to a Final Four. So this would be the most Purdue thing possible for Purdue to miss out in a Final Four and lose to a team like Tennessee that's never been. But I digress. We're not going to get there. But
where's your head?
Say that again.
Where's your head at? How are you feeling?
Where's my head at?
So first, Rob, before you answer, congrats. That was a Wolf. Gonzaga brought their A game.
Yeah, they did.
You won. There's nothing else to say.
Yeah, I thought Gonzaga played very well. I thought.
They had and that's we're the better team. We're going to prove it tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
ED was horse tonight. That was amazing.
Yeah, he was 27 points, 14 rebounds. Braden Smith flirted with a triple-double. He had 14 points, 15 assists, and 8 rebounds. You had 4 guys make 2 or more threes: Mason Gillis, Lance Jones, Fletcher Lawyer, and Braden Smith. I got a really good game off the bench from Cam Heide when he came in and gave big minutes. Trey Kaufman-Renn had that great start to the second half. Yeah, Purdue played great second half. I think first half it was kind of getting over the nerves of being back in the Sweet 16 and kind of the ghosts of St. Peter's from 2 years ago that they had to overcome a bit. And also the last time they played in Detroit, they lost to Texas Tech in the Sweet 16, so they were kind of getting over that as well. So I think there's a lot of things working against Purdue, but I thought Gonzaga played very well. Again, Graham Ike, he's hit 7 threes all year, and 4 of those 7 are against Purdue, which is hilarious. That's one of the most hilarious stats I think I've ever heard. But again, this Purdue team they're not satisfied. They keep finding ways to win, and I'll be honest, all day today, I was never really nervous. I wasn't scared. I wasn't anxious. And then when the ball tipped off and the game started, that's when my heart rate elevated immediately. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of brought the nerves back. But, for some reason, just all throughout this season, it's just I've never been scared of this team because they're always going to find ways to make plays and win games. And they keep doing it every single game. And they did it again tonight in the second half. They got big-time threes off. Cam Heide hit some big threes. Mason Gillis hit big threes. Zach Edey was a monster inside. I mean, it was just across the board. And then defensively in the second half, they were outstanding, limiting Gonzaga's ability to have those mid-range jump shots. And it was awesome. I thought this was a complete performance from start to finish. And the one thing that continues to help Purdue is, and this has happened, I believe, the last 3 games, where they have gotten their opponent's 4-man in early foul trouble within like the first 2 or 3 minutes. Tonight it was Ben Gregg who got 2 really quick fouls, and Gregg had been playing really well for Gonzaga as of late. It was Isaac Johnson of Utah State in the round of 32. He lit up TCU in their first round game. And then in the first game against Grambling, Purdue limited their 4 guy. He got 2 quick fouls too. So that's been a big difference. That's been a big difference maker, I think, for Purdue. But overall, Nick, I'll start with you. What did you think of Purdue tonight?
I mentioned earlier, we were texting, I thought Gonzaga, they brought their A game at least the first half.
Yeah,
right. They shot it well. Their offense looked pretty beautiful the whole first half.
It looked great.
And I think it's what we mentioned, I can't remember one of the first episodes, the difference between this Purdue team, and especially last year I'm comparing to, they're not going to be as intimidated as they are in the moment. Are they other moments of badness? Sure, every team does, but, they're not going to be as, they responded the whole time. Gonzaga was hitting their threes. As you mentioned, EK was draining threes the first half.
Yeah.
And again, at one point, Edey didn't score for 8.5 minutes, whatever it was, something like that. And they didn't blink. They responded, and I think that's the story of Purdue so far. Is no matter what's happened to them, they've not blinked, and I think that's the difference. Oh my gosh!
You okay?
Do you hear that?
Yeah. What was that?
I just stubbed my toe.
You stubbed your toe?
Oh my God! I'm in so much pain. But yeah, Purdue did not stub their toe so far at all. That was not a bit. That was real. Oh my God. Good job, Purdue.
No, you're fine. You're good. So let me before Dusty, I go to you. I want to play this bit from Matt Painter at the press conference tonight. He was kind of asked, how has Zach Edey has handled kind of the pressure and maybe the physicality of games, and he had a great answer in that press conference tonight after the win over Gonzaga.
By getting into an altercation, we had it happen in the Big Ten tournament, and he just needs to back out of it. And I think he did a good job tonight of doing that, and just keep your mouth shut and carry a big stick, right? And that's what I always tell him. I say, I don't know why you have to say anything, and in society, when you run your mouth, your percentage of getting your ass kicked goes up. So we've all seen that. The guy that keeps quiet is normally the victor, if it's even.
So Matt Painter says, speak softly, carry a big stick, and it's the guy that usually runs his mouth that gets his butt kicked, and that's kind of what society has become, which is very true. So I thought that was really, really funny that he talked about that with Zach Edey. But Dusty, what did you think watching the Boilermakers tonight and moving on to the Elite Eight?
So my favorite quote that I heard, I believe I heard during the when I was on the shuttle going from the Orlando airport to down in the Villages where I'm at right now, was Zach Edey got asked about coming back this year, being the Sweet 16. He is so damn stoked. And he literally just said, I didn't come back to college to just get to a Sweet 16.
Yeah.
That fire is... we talked about Illinois making the Elite Eight and Underwood and shooting off the gun, which is like Robbie and I were texting, or the three of us were. That's awesome. That's fun.
Yeah.
But Zach is in a full-blown business. He is a monster. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize he led the nation in scoring this year.
Yeah, he did.
So 24.5 a game, because usually there's someone at a mid-major that drops, 29 or 30 that we don't even know about, right, until the tournament.
Right.
I just thought they came out tonight, like Nick said, Gonzaga played good. And they just got shut down by a better team. And I've been saying for probably 5 weeks, I think Houston's the best team in the country. You put something, gun to my head, I would have said probably Houston, Kentucky. I always say was the most talented in the country. UConn's probably the most complete team in the country. Purdue looks amazing. So if I were you, I'd be pretty excited for Sunday.
I'm excited. And Purdue, by the way, is going to get the 2:20 p.m. tip-off time, so they get the early game, which is I think that sets up nicely for the Boilermakers, getting everyone coming in from church in Detroit to enjoy the game. I had a couple friends of mine that were at that game tonight.
Yep, bring it up.
And they were around Tennessee fans, and Tennessee fans were openly cheering for Gonzaga. Tennessee wants no part of Purdue. Well, look what you got. The Boilermakers and the Volunteers, once again, they will play for round 2 with a shot at the Final Four. Let's talk real quick about Tennessee Creighton. Dalton Connect was fantastic. Zakai Ziegler played very well. Josiah Jordan-James was really good. And Dusty, you mentioned it on our pod earlier this week. You thought Santiago Vescovi was going to be the key, and he doesn't play because he has the flu. So that threw everything for a loop, but you got to give Tennessee a ton of credit. They got out to that I think they were up by 16 in the second half and just kind of was able to pull away in that one. But the Volunteers, very impressive in this one.
Went on an 18-0 run at one point, I believe it was.
Woo.
I think I said to the other day that I thought Josiah would have to be kind of the X factor in the game. I mean, I know I thought I had to hit threes. The second you two texted me and said that he was out, that to me that was the death sentence. I thought it was definitely Creighton by 10.
Yeah.
So, it's Tennessee. I know Nick and I have this argument back and forth. I want you to know I'm full blown boiler up on Sunday, but he did look really freaking good today.
Yeah.
Because I think Creighton's the better team out of this too. If you were to play best out of 7, I think Creighton wins that series.
I think so too.
But I would say Purdue.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great matchup. I think, again, it's kind of funny how this is all working out, where Purdue sees teams that they saw in Maui for a shot to make it to the Final Four. Now, they're not going to see Marquette in the Final Four anymore to complete that run. But regardless, it should be a great game between the Volunteers and the Boilermakers. And in Tennessee, again, Dalton Connect was outstanding today. Tennessee shoots 11 for 24 from 3. I was very surprised by that. Tennessee's a good three-point shooting team. They're not a great three-point shooting team, but man, when they hit their threes, as you guys well know, seeing that Tennessee team play in Lexington, when they hit their threes, they are a completely different monster, and it turns them into a really, really top-notch, top-tier, elite team that can make a run at this thing.
Well, Robbie, everyone wins elections these days, so what's that really mean?
Besides Kentucky.
Fair. Besides Kentucky.
Yeah, real quick before we move on to the other side of the bracket, Robbie,
sure.
Just answer your question. Yeah, real quick again. My toe is not a bit. I just put my toe under hot water. So my toe's doing good now, but it's 12:53 at night, and I've had a couple of drinks. Is Dusty on here? Yeah,
Dusty's with us.
And, Crab, I realized tonight that you room for Tennessee made me really mad. Can I just be honest? I was on the pod tonight. It made me very mad. And when they were winning, it again, one of Kentucky's biggest rivals, Creighton from the Missouri Valley, they've made such a big rise in.
Well, they're not anymore.
It's fair.
It's true.
I hate all this.
So
Nick, if it helps.
I hate Tennessee. Pull it up.
I've explained my reasons for them, and I just did say I'm rooting for Purdue. But I will tell you guys, in this household I'm at tonight for our listeners, it's me, my wife, my parents, my cousin and her parents, another aunt and uncle, and I was the only person cheering for Tennessee.
Good.
But I was not outlandishly cheering for Tennessee.
You were more anti-Creighton. You were more anti-Creighton. You weren't necessarily cheering for Tennessee. You were cheering against Creighton.
Get the hell out of here.
Again, a team came from Missouri Valley to this. Yeah, F them, right? Yeah.
All right. Let's switch over to the other side of the bracket. Let's go ahead and start with the big boogeyman that's in the room, the monster in the closet.
Robbie, we're almost 45 minutes in this podcast, and Connecticut is just dominating.
UConn cannot stop crushing people. So that's San Diego State. That's their 9th straight tournament win by 13 or more points, which is absolutely outrageous that that's even a thing. I want to hear from Dan Hurley talking about that streak because he has a great soundbite on it from his press conference from yesterday. Go ahead and take a listen to this.
9 straight tournament wins by an average of 22.8 points. When you hear that number, just what is it hard to believe? Or it's not supposed to be this easy.
I mean, we suck at winning close games, so you got to go with the alternative.
Dan Hurley, we suck at winning close games. That's, I'll be honest. If there was ever, that is going to be massively ironic if they get into a close game against Illinois, because that's going to be played over and over and over again if they get into a close game and they lose, because Dan Hurley basically just said it. But regardless, my gosh, San Diego State played them tough in the first half, but that second half was just a clinic defensively and even offensively from the Huskies. I'll start with the guy who picked San Diego State first, Dusty. How about UConn? These guys are no joke.
Well, the Mountain Best is gone.
R.I.P. to our king.
Yeah, R.I.P. to our next sponsor after Jack Carney.
Yep.
And so, yeah, they're a wagon. There's nothing else to it. I think San Diego State was definitely exploited. I don't understand how they didn't seem like they got up for that game, which I don't get. You have a rematch of the national championship, but maybe that's just what UConn is. I'm very interested to see this Illinois game because I feel like UConn has had a decent, easy path so far. I wanted the FAU matchup more than Northwestern. I did not think Northwestern would hang with them, and I said that. I wanted Auburn to play them. They didn't get there. But now you have a pretty decent offensive team with Illinois, and I'd love to see how Shannon plays against them. I don't know if we're making picks yet, but UConn's a wagon. I am pumped for this game, though. This will be a lot of fun to watch.
Of the 4 Elite 8 games, I will be honest, I think this is probably the best of the 4. Because
you're too humble to say that, but go ahead.
Offensively, these are 2 teams off the charts offensively. The top 2 teams in offensive efficiency in the country will be Illinois and UConn going into this game. Terrence Shannon, by the way.
I agree with you, Robbie, by the way.
Thank you. Terrence Shannon is one of 10 players since 1995 to score 25 or more in each of the first 3 rounds of the tourney. The other 10 that are on this list, this is a great list, by the way. So Drew Timme, Max Asmus, Carson Edwards with that crazy 2019 run, George Niang is on this.
Wow.
Jimmer Fredette.
Legend.
Yes. Jordan Crawford with that run with Xavier. And then the last 3 are legends. Blake Griffin, Stephen Curry, and Allen Iverson. Those are all of the players that have scored 25 or more in each of the first 3 rounds of the tournament.
Holy moly.
Terrence Shannon is on that list, which basically, Terrence Shannon, that almost puts him in an NBA category right now. But, he has been the best. I'll say it. Terrence Shannon has been, next to Zach Edey, has been the best player in this tournament. He has been unreal. You cannot, he is almost unstoppable. He's shooting over 40 from 3. He's getting to the rim. He shoots 80% from the free throw line. I am fascinated by if they're going to throw Tristan Newton or Steph Castle at him coming up on Saturday night, and how in the world that UConn's is going to be able to handle Terrence Shannon and what Illinois brings to the table.
Yeah, I'll jump in first. As much as I've had Illinois in the Final Four, in my Final Four the whole year, and we've kind of stayed away from it. But it's a weird situation, right? What's going on with Terrence Shannon?
Very.
I think it's fair to say, to put it mildly. But I think what Illinois can do to connect, where I'm not sure any other team can do, they can have the best player on the court, which I'm not sure any other team can say.
Yeah.
Right. Terrence Shannon, when he got how to put this, initially suspended, he was in the Players of the Year conversation with Zach Edey. Yeah. He was. Mm-hmm. Mid-December, and again, say what you will about it, and that's not our job. We're just here to talk about basketball on this podcast.
That's right.
That's our job. And And on the court, he's been one of the best players. Again, like you said, Robbie, even the first game against Morehead State punched him in the mouth.
They did, yeah.
And Terrence Shannon, he responded from the get-go. And again, Connecticut might just blow him out because, again, Connecticut and Illinois could be – there's two ways to look at it. Like, Illinois could be a good matchup because, like, they can match up with them with star power, which I think they can. But also, too, like, Illinois cannot defend and UConn can't defend. So,
right.
like, if Illinois is not hitting their shots, it could get ugly. That being said, like, with Terrence Shannon, is it Marcus Domask? Is that his first name?
Marcus Domask, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And my boy, what's the big man? Is it
Danger? Enter the danger zone.
If nothing else, is Illinois, they can match the star power if UConn. That's why I agree with you, Robbie. This is the most intriguing Elite Eight matchup of all four of them.
And for the low price of $295, you can get a seat at the TD Garden for that game. UConn is an 8.5-point favorite, and I think that's low for what UConn's been doing lately. But I think this is going to be. I think this is UConn's toughest test because UConn, outside of when they played Creighton and Marquette, they haven't played teams that can play offensively like Illinois can, and especially through these first 3 rounds of the tournament, they've played 3 teams that are not adept offensively. Yeah. Like they want to defend. So now
you sure?
As much as I love Boo Booey, it just
the Hatters could score.
I mean, Jalen Blackman is a great player, but no.
He's on some transfer list right now.
Yes, he is, and I'll be curious where he ends up going. But what I wanted to say was as well is I'm curious how UConn defends Illinois. And I think, again, I've been saying it on this pod, Illinois has had talent for years, and they just found ways to stub their toe against teams that they had no business losing to. And now they're finally at this moment where they have an opportunity to prove everyone that they are this talented and this good. Because I've been watching them for decades.
And Robbie, they're not the favorites for once.
No, they're not. Like, they are the underdog. I think they enjoy being the underdog. They were a 1.5-point underdog to Iowa State, and they were the better team. Iowa State has to be one of the worst 2 seeds just in terms of straight talent in the history of college basketball. Like, that team, TJ Otzelberger, he, like, seriously, might be one of the best coaches in college basketball.
Robbie, this is such us college basketball nerds, this is such a summer pod, the worst 2 seeds talent-wise.
Yeah. Iowa State has to be on that list, and that's not meant as a slight to the Cyclones. I guess it could be in a sense, but
no. This is a great summer pod.
Think about it because you can't, because it's like this Iowa State team, you look at them and watch them play, you're like, this team won 29 games this year? How is that possible? Like, they are an odd bunch. They're an odd group and an odd fit of players. Tamin Lipsey is great, but he's not an elite player. And, like, they made him out to be, like, this superstar guard that was going to go get 25 for them.
Robbie, real quick, Crab, I think you self-admit, like, you're not good with names. How many Iowa State players can you name right now?
Great question. I gave you one, Tamin Lipsey.
Yeah, we're pushing 1 a.m. on vacation.
I would say Keshawn Gilbert's probably their best player. But,
I would agree, Robbie.
Yeah, and then Curtis Jones had 26. Like, Curtis Jones came off the bench for them. He averages 11 a game.
Again, that's not a shot. Justice, kind of to our point, though.
Wait,
yeah.
Can I tell you guys something funny?
Oh, boy.
Our friend and one of my groomsmen hurt his leg. I was going to say his name because Curtis is ringing a bell. And Curtis's Illinois Illini beat Iowa State.
That's right.
That's true.
So a little groomsman battle there between Curtis and Forrest.
He kind of on that quick, freaking just throw that at me out of nowhere. You know what? Name someone for South Dakota State right now.
Is Mike Dom still there?
Yeah, on my record book, he is, Robbie.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure. What was there? They had a guard that just entered the transfer portal.
I know, Robbie. Robbie, we're 2 pieces in the pod. I just picked up.
Mayo, Zeke Mayo.
He entered. He's not on the team though.
Zeke Mayo was still on the team when they played earlier this year.
As of this second, he's not.
Oh my gosh, get out of here!
Hey, Dusty, you're basically name someone the A's right now, Dusty.
Tony Snell.
Who on the A's? That's a basketball player.
Is Brent Rooker still on the A's, or did he get traded?
Sorry, Tony.
Zach. Separate conversation. Zach Geloff, great second baseman for the A's.
Okay,
Tony.
I'm kidding. Zach Geloff.
Okay.
All right, let's get the train back on the tracks here. So Illinois UConn is going to be a great game. We can all agree with that. Clemson Alabama is not for the college football playoff. It's for a spot in the college basketball Final Four.
Robbie, can I steal a joke real quick?
Go ahead.
Even with all the expansion, we still get Alabama Clemson in the playoff. No matter what we do.
That's so true. Let's start with Alabama because that was wildly entertaining. Probably one of the best tournament games that we've watched.
Yeah.
Like it was awesome. 89-87. Grant Nelson, my word, where have you been? He was the
Awesome.
From.
I mean,
He was awesome.
he's from North Dakota.
North Dakota State.
Yeah.
You're right. He went to college in North Dakota State.
Right. So he is this is crazy. He is the first player in tournament history to score 20 points, 10 rebounds, and have 5 blocks with 2 made threes. That's how much of a unicorn he is. Alabama Dusty, you had this great stat. I want to shout you out when you found this. Alabama was 1-9 in the Sweet 16 all-time before Thursday, and they were also 1-5 all-time against number 1 seeds in the tournament. So like they blew down the doors of all of the data and all of the numbers and found a way to win a game. So, Dusty, starting with you first because you called it, this was a masterclass, and especially in the second half with how Alabama, so they were down 54-46 at the half. North Carolina only scored 33 points in the second half. So Alabama showed they can defend when they really want to.
Yeah, so, I'd start with saying, I think I brought this up on Wednesday, that Carolina playing Alabama remind me of Carolina playing Kentucky, right? Because I think Alabama and Kentucky. Alabama's just scary, and I've said this before too that I just love Nate Oates. That they're one of those teams that they just don't care what the other team's going to do. They're just say we're going to play our system.
Yeah,
reminds me of like a Mike D'Antoni type just system. Yeah, I know that's NBA to college, but we're just going to go play our game. So you talked about UConn facing Illinois. I don't know if UConn can also get through, if Bama's able to beat Clemson, if they can get through 2 teams that are that offensively minded.
It's a good question. That's a good point, yeah.
But that North Carolina game was amazing. Full credit to Bama. Obviously, I gave my sentimental story earlier. I'm reading my brains off for them now.
Yeah.
I am worried about this game because Clemson, they are a very veteran team.
Mm-hmm.
They've had the big man's name is Hall, right?
Yeah, PJ Hall, yep.
PJ Hall's been there for 5 years. They have 2 guards that have been there for 4 and 3 years. So they have a group that has the cohesion and whatnot. And clearly, all of us doubted them. I thought New Mexico would beat them.
Right.
I thought Baylor would beat them. Thought Arizona would beat them. So this is another just intriguing game. But Alabama, it's going to come down to, are you going to hit your threes or not? They're my 2018 Rockets.
And one thing that Clemson, I've been impressed with them all tournament is how good they defend dribble drives. Like they do an incredible job at keeping their man in front of them on drives to the basket. And that is Alabama lives on driving to the basket and threes. Like that's their game. And that's why I think it's such a fascinating matchup how it's going to go between these two teams. So Nick, I'll turn it over. Go ahead, Dusty. Yeah.
The only thing about Clemson, well, first of all, for those that know, they did play this year.
They did, and Clemson won in Tuscaloosa, yeah.
Actually, Bruce Pearl, during the pregame show today, they're interviewing Clemson's head coach and asked him, are you kind of regretting that you may have given the entire playbook off to them, which was a great. But Clemson, the other thing they do so well, because I've now only watched them probably 7 times this year, their interior offense is so good.
Yeah.
And they're very patient. They move the ball well. So actually, I mean, rooting for Alabama, I'll be blunt about that. I think Clemson wins this game now. I think Clemson gets to the Final Four.
It kind of lines up that way, and I will say Clemson and NC State are very similar teams. They're cohesive units. They play well together. It seems like they have good team chemistry. They don't really beat themselves too often, and they make clutch shots. Like both Clemson and NC State did that. It's the kind of the ACC mantra right now. But Nick,
last thing real quick about Clemson.
Sure.
Then go. It's funny you think though that wasn't it Boston College that blew the doors off Clemson in the ACC tournament.
Yeah.
Like, and
makes
now
sense of that. Makes sense of that.
Go ahead, Nick.
So Nick, though, I want you to talk about Arizona because gosh,
real quick about Clemson, Alabama. Like, it's a very interesting matchup, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fair to say. Like, what's does Clemson do? Like, do they hand it off to like Will Shipley? Do they hand it off to Phil Maffa? Does Klubnik around? Like, how's Jalen Miller respond?
Is Sammy Watkins available?
Yeah, Sammy Watkins available. Like, is Miles Murphy out there? Like, it's a great matchup all around.
Bring Chad Kelly back and play quarterback.
Bring Chad Kelly. By the way, Phil Maffa, great running back. That's
what a name right there! Wow.
He's still the Clemson running back, I believe. But
I thought it was still Shipley, but I don't know.
Anyway, again, different conversation for a different day.
Correct.
but like you brought up Arizona, Robbie.
Ugh.
Yeah. I finally believed in it. I was ready for the Caleb Love experience, and boy, did I get the Caleb Love experience. By the way, between him, Tyler Kolek going out, and I think that's it. Illinois advanced.
Illinois advanced. Alabama advanced. But yes, Shaka Smart and Arizona.
But my 3 teams were like Illinois, Marquette, and Arizona. And yep, Arizona did it again. Again, did you see that stat? Like they had lost 5 straight tournaments. Now they lost, I believe, it's like 4 seeds worse than them.
I've got the stats. So Arizona has lost to a team seeded at least 4 spots below them in each of the last 6 tournaments. So this past year. It was number 6 Clemson, and they were a 2 seed. Princeton was last year; they were the 15. Arizona was the 2. Arizona was the 1 last year, or was the 1 in 22, and lost to the 5 Houston. They lost to Buffalo when Buffalo was the 13 and 18, and then 17 and 16 they lost to Xavier and Wichita State, both 11 seeds.
I remember that Xavier 16. I remember fondly. I was big on Arizona.
Arizona was the 2 seed. That was Lowry Markkanen's team.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you know what's funny about all those losses? It's not like like. The other team went like, I don't know, maybe they did, but like 9-15 from 3. It never felt fluky.
No,
right?
It didn't.
It felt like the other team just beat them. It feels like a lot like how it feels Kentucky right now. Like
why did Arizona keep shooting threes? Why? Like literally, you had Omar Ballo, who's 6'11", and like they were finally passing it to him the last 2 minutes of the game. Like Clemson was begging you to go inside, and you kept shooting threes. It made no sense.
By the way, this is a conversation for a different day, but Omar Ballo got so much worse this year. I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah, he regressed. 1 for 7 from the free throw line.
But irregardless, again, Arizona, they did it again. Caleb Love was god awful, but as much as I went to complain about Arizona and Tommy Lloyd, this is the narrative now with him going forward, and I'm not sure I can defend it. But like again, shout to Clemson. They for 3 straight games, they've been not the underdog per se, but like most of the people thought they were going to lose, including the Mexico game, and they've controlled each game, from game start to finish.
Yeah.
Shout to them.
Like I said, I thought they'd lose all 3 of these games.
Yeah.
No, same crab. Same.
Yeah.
But remember, if you guys have ever listened to the First Ladies podcast, my wife loves their logo because they have a cute call.
How about that?
This might mean doing a bit. Do you think Dabo's actually excited that Clemson's made Elite 8?
Oh, absolutely, because it's taking the pressure off him.
He is sprinting down that hill right now.
No, I think opposite. I think he wants to be the king of the castle. I don't think he likes this at all.
I think he enjoys some of the pressure being taken off of him because his Clemson teams have stunk the last couple of years in football. So
now, I think it adds more to pressure.
Maybe.
Look, our basketball team's doing this. Why can't you? You're supposed to be the king.
Yeah.
And
also, we should bring up the stat of the week. Caleb Love and R.J. Davis went a combined 0 for 18 from 3. Here I was giving you all this stuff about Caleb Love is going to play. It's so exciting he could play North Carolina in the Elite Eight. And that 18.5 was not even close to being touched. He finished with 13, which was even impressive in that right, that he got to 13 points. But I'm very sorry for not giving you that lock.
Robbie.
Oh, my
Robbie,
word.
we're on this pod. We're gassing the Mountain West and talking about Caleb Love versus UNC in Elite Eight, and boy, do we get both wrong.
We got them both wrong. And then, so the only guy that got his lock right this week, that was Dusty hitting his 5.5 with Purdue. The Boilermakers covered with ease against the Bulldogs. I don't blame Nick for his. That's because Jamal Shead got hurt. But
doesn't count.
That one doesn't count. Yeah. For me, though, Caleb Love, golly. So that'll give us our Elite Eight. Man, really excited about these games. Let's run through again one more time for you just so you're aware of kind of how the schedule plays out. So coming up Saturday, that's right, actually, it is Saturday as we're doing this pod. So Saturday night, so both these games will be on TBS. 6:09 p.m. will be Illinois-UConn. Remember, UConn is 8.5-point favorites. And then the 8:49 p.m. game will be Clemson-Alabama. Bama is a 3.5-point favorite. They've got the tip time set for Sunday. Tennessee-Purdue is a 2:20 p.m. tip. That game will be on CBS. And then NC State-Duke will be a 5:05 p.m. tip. That game will also be on CBS. So the Saturday games are on TBS. Sunday games are on CBS. There is also a good chance, remember, we always get, I believe we've had a 5 seed in the Final Four every year the last 15 years, I think, if I'm not mistaken. As long as NC State or Clemson win, we will keep that stat rolling.
ACC.
Do you want to make quick picks real quick?
Well, let's make some quick picks. Give me your guys' Final Four. Dusty, I'll start with you.
I'll go Illinois, Clemson, NC State, and Purdue.
I like it. Nick?
Duke and Tennessee are both going to win because just my life sucks. This is all I expect. So the other side, so UConn's going to win, obviously, and then what's the other?
Clemson, Alabama.
Left? I hate Davos, so Clemson's going to win. So, yeah, my four predictions.
I will go. So you're picking against your Final Four team finally at last?
Yeah, Robbie, sports suck. This is all it is. It's all pain. Robbie, please win. Please win Sunday.
I hope we do. If we don't, though, it's going to stink. But
can I get a producer from you?
Can you what?
Can I get a producer?
Sure, absolutely you can.
Yeah, I'm all in.
Yeah, come
Please
on in.
Win.
Come on, hop aboard the train. We're riding all the way to Arizona.
Chugga.
Yeah. I will go. I'll go UConn. I will go Clemson. I think NC State's going to beat Duke. I really do. And I mean, I got to pick the Boilermakers. I think Purdue finds a way to get to the Final Four for the first time since 1980.
All right. Robbie, real quick, I got one more. We have a live studio audience here.
Okay.
Her cousin, Molly Elkins.
Molly!
I'm listening.
Big Alabama girl. She's going to give her Final Four predictions.
Ooh, I like it. Let's hear it, Molly. What's your Final Four?
Alabama, obviously, you butthead.
Obviously.
Illinois, NC State, Tennessee. Write it down.
Boom.
Wow. All right. So she's got the SEC bias going. I like it.
I only picked against Purdue because you picked against Alabama.
That's fair. I accept that as punishment. It's going to be a really fun Elite Eight. I hope all of you enjoy all of the games. We will be back probably Sunday night as of right now for the Elite Eight wrap-up, and we'll get you ready for the Final Four, and then we'll have a Final Four pod coming up next week. I am, again, hoping by the good Lord above that we will see the Purdue Boilermakers playing in a Final Four for the first time in 44 years.
And then we'll start the GoFundMe to get Robbie there.
Well, I'm sure Doug's going for Tennessee in that game.
So last thing I'll leave you with. So
wait. If Tennessee makes it, I'll go. How's that?
That's fair. One of my good pals and a guy we went to high school with, Drew Wolford, Dusty. Drew, obviously a Purdue grad. He is married. His wife's name is Kayla. Kayla is an NC State grad. So there is a chance that the Final Four could be a house divided between Drew and Kayla if it's NC State and Purdue, which would be absolutely incredible. And again, a matchup that no one ever thought possible. And I think even Drew said it before the tournament when we were talking about it. If we get an NC State Purdue Final Four, we're going. So we could end up getting that, which would be, again, can you imagine a DJ Burns versus Zach Edey matchup? Like that's glorious. I want it. I need it.
Wasn't Drew El Tiburon?
He sure was. The Shark.
Yeah,
swam at Purdue. Great swimmer from Noblesville, and his wife is equally good, if not better, swimmer when she was at NC State. So
hopefully they're swimming in Arizona.
Hopefully we find a way to get them all to Arizona. So that'll do it for After Dark, talking about the Sweet 16, getting you ready for the Elite Eight. Nick?
I have one comment.
Okay.
The NC State woman, I didn't hear her name, but if you want a place to watch the game, just hit me up. Is it Kayla, right?
Kayla, yes, she's married.
What's up, Kayla?
Maybe that's your problem, is you're going after unavailable women. Maybe that's your biggest issue.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Wait, who's that voice back there?
That's Molly.
What'd you say?
Cousin's available.
Okay.
Molly says Disney not available.
Okay.
Disney's my parents.
All right. Before we get too far off the rails again, we'll see you back here on the D1 and Done pod coming up Sunday night. For Dusty, for Nick, for Robbie, myself, we hope you have a great Easter Sunday. And please, Lord, if you are listening to this, please allow Purdue to make a Final Four. Thank you. Amen. Good night.
If Duke and Tennessee make a Final Four, I'm quitting.
You can't quit.
I'm quitting. I'm quitting.
All right. We'll see you on Sunday. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Pull her up.